Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aaron, and you're tuning in to my Darigaaz reincarnated EDH Decktech. Same as our last Magic the Gathering Decktech, I'll be using tappedout.net to showcase this brew with you today. It is an awesome website that allows you to catalog, playtest, and shop for cards with their links to TCG Player, cardkingdom.com, and Card Hoarder, and you can even submit your deck to the website's homepage with the deck cycle option. But let's get to the meat of the video, shall we? Firstly, let me say that due to the nature of Elder Dragon Highlander or Commander being a very different format than Modern, the deck techs are going to be different as a result. My Modern deck techs, like my Sultai Lazav the Multifarious Aether Vial video that you can find at the link in the description, will focus on a proper 75 card deck list, whereas a Commander deck list will instead be more of a brewing guide. EDH's 99 card singleton means that you'll be less focused on what exact cards are or aren't using, and more about what sort of themes you wish to bring to the table, and how each card may interact with your overall game plan, as well as your opponents, as well as being mindful of your personal meta. So let's have a little look, shall we? The commander we're looking at today is Darigaaz Reincarnated. Darigaaz is a 7/7 legendary dragon that costs 4, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 green, and has flying, trample, and haste. And finally, he can exile himself if he should die, and return himself to play after 3 upkeeps. This type of commander is what I like to call big boy magic, where it costs an insane amount of mana investment, but is nearly impossible to ignore once it hits play. I strongly feel that Darigaaz slots right in theme with commanders like Zergo Helmsmasher as a prime Voltron commander that usually doesn't need any sort of aura or equipment support in order to work. The thing that sets Darigaaz apart from Zergo, though, is that Darigaaz has evasion and reanimation built into his text box, allowing you to brew your deck completely unimpeded by your commander. But that then poses the question of, what does the deck build around then? And the answer is Yolk Hops. A Yolk Hop is an actual thing, an Icelandic term for a glacial outburst flood. Basically, when something like geothermal heating causes ice to melt rapidly in a pocket inside a glacier, which then breaks open and causes a massive flood. The card's illustration and effect embody this rather effectively, destroying all artifacts, creatures, and lands. We also run similar effects in the form of Obliterate, Lava Ball Trap, Destructive Force, Wildfire, and Zergo's staple, Worldslayer. So yeah, this is a land destruction deck, which definitely gets a bad reputation in the EDH community, as destroying lands is a great way of making sure that people don't play Magic with you. It's typically frowned upon, so it's expected that you shouldn't do it. If this style of play does bring contention in your group, then perhaps you shouldn't play it. I have about 16 cards listed here that can destroy lands, and 13 of them are dedicated land destruction spells. However, I see this brew as a unique way of working towards Darigaaz's strengths and using land destruction as a way of closing out the game quickly instead of stalling opponents into scooping. Good rule of thumb when deciding on cards of this nature for Elder Dragon Highlander is to weigh the overall strength of said cards against what they take away from your opponents and what sort of position you may be left in once it resolves. Stone Rain is a great Ponza card for Modern 1v1, but it kind of falls apart once you start playing 99 card singleton 4-player. In contrast, Price of Glory is the same converted mana cost but has the potential to completely shut down an opponent's strategy, making cards like Leyline of Anticipation and Mana Drain completely fruitless. Lightning Bolt is a staple in Modern, but in Commander it kind of falls flat in front of cards like Perforos God of the Forge that can get in for massive amounts of damage. When resolving a board wipe that leaves absolutely nothing on the battlefield except for your 7/7 flying trample commander, that means that you will probably be winning with commander damage very shortly after. So with these big board clearing land destruction spells in mind, we're running a lot of land matters and land destruction matters cards, like Lord Windgrace, Titania, Protector of Argoth, World Shaper, Dragon Master Outcast, Avenger of Zendikar, and Omnath Locus of Rage, who was the original commander for this deck, but I decided to splash black for dragons. With much of our deck lying in the 5 and up converted mana cost range, cards like Cultivate, Catacomb Sifter, Harrow, Realms Uncharted, Curse of Opulence, Kelny Heart Expedition, and Stone Cedar Hierophant are pretty important sources of ramp that can swing our early turn mana situation from 1 to 7 very quickly. This may seem like a waste, considering we aim to blow up all our lands anyway, but the cards that we have that care about our lands going to the bin, such as Gitrog Monster or Life from the Loam, as well as our commander being a capable win condition once everything is done and gone, ramping towards that goal is our best course of action. Along with ramp, card advantage is another staple in Commander. I have 11 sources of card advantage listed here, which I feel is about right, given the strength and synergy potential for each of those card advantage spells, and the inherent draw potency land-based ramp does for your deck. If you cast Cultivate, or pop a Cunley Heart Expedition, or even better yet, cast Escape Shift for 7 or 8 lands, or even ultimate your Nissa Worldwaker, that pulls lands out of your deck, meaning that when you draw cards later in the game, you are statistically less likely to draw those lands. Another thing that this format demands of its decks is board control and targeted removal. Torment of Scarabs is in this list just to showcase the potential stacks, discard, and sacrifice effects that you could run playing in black. Virulent Plague is a hilarious enchantment that can shut down entire deck strategies like Talrand Sky Summoner and Gave Guru of Spores, and removal spells like Assassin's Trophy, Beast Within, State of Statue, and Crossing Grip are a necessity when answering an opponent's infinite combo pieces. Now, our Voltron segment is rather small, but is definitely worth mentioning as our commander was chosen strictly for his ability to knock out with commander damage. If you're not comfortable with the land destruction themes of this deck, you can lean more heavily on the Aura equipment build of the deck. Another card found in many Zergo builds is Assault Suit, allowing you to pass your big beefcake around the table, spreading commander damage across the board throughout each turn cycle. Basilisk Collar makes Darigaaz that much more likely to get in uncontested and even pads your life total for the eventual crackback. Overwhelming Stampede and Perforos, God of the Forge, can boost your whole team for a massive swing, and Xenagos, God of Revels, along with Fire Shrieker, reduce the number of times you have to hit an opponent for lethal commander damage. And now finally, lands, arguably the most important part of the deck. I would recommend having 37 to 45 lands for this deck. So with the 70 non-land cards listed, I'd suggest cutting about 10 of them, which would ultimately be up to you. As far as lands go, I would strongly recommend grabbing as many fetch lands as you can. If you're poor like me, then Jund Panorama, Evolving Wilds, Ash Barrens, Myriad Landscape, and Mountain Valley work incredibly well on a budget, where Bloodstained Mire is almost too expensive for such a redundant effect. And in the same vein, cycling lands like Desert of the Indomitable, Forgotten Cave, and Canyon Slough are also synergized with our land reanimation spells for extra power. Other utility lands include Detection Tower, Haunted Fengraf, Mirror Pool, Buried Ruin, and Rogue's Passage. Well, that's the video, so let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this in the future. My name is Aaron, and have an awesome day.